Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Can't Pause This podcast, a mere 4 months after episode 1, and half of the original people returning, so I think we're doing pretty well.
Not bad. Is it actually 4 months?
Something like that.
Jeez, we've been slack.
Or if we put in so much preparation and thought and hard work that it's taken 4 months, like a blockbuster film takes like a year to make.
Right.
I feel we've raised expectations unreasonably.
Get an Oscar for this.
That'll be nice.
Yeah,
Some
maybe
recognition. Not. A subscribe would be nice.
Jodie, do you want to tell everyone why we're here?
We are here to watch Star Wars A New Hope, which is the first one of the non-prequels that people like.
Yes.
And I don't know a lot about Star Wars, so basically the premise of this is to make me look like a bit of an idiot, and so that I can watch Star Wars and say what I thought of it, I guess, because you guys know Star Wars a lot.
So how does someone get to their mid-20s and not watch Star Wars?
I think it's because I just got into it a bit too late. It's one of those things where I am super into Harry Potter. I have it I have it permanently on my body.
What?
Like
oh my god!
For those who can't actually see this, she's exposing a Harry Potter tattoo.
I was not
Deathly Hallows, right?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. So I think I just got really into that, and then Lord of the Rings was a big part of my childhood and stuff as well, and this wasn't room for Star Wars, I guess. No one in my family
was...
Star Wars? Yeah, my mum doesn't like movies, my dad is super into Lord of the Rings, and so I think he just kind of prioritised that, and I'd never watched Star Wars when I was a kid. I've only ever seen it in the sense of, oh my god, you've never seen Star Wars, you should totally watch it, and I always kind of fell asleep because it was really late and I'd eaten a lot of pizza, so
you were dealt a bad hand, basically.
I guess, yeah. If you want to
Very poor hand indeed. Goodness me. So we'll right that wrong today.
Yes.
That's kind of how we ended up, well, more the reason we ended up here is if anyone goes on the website or anything else, a lot of the movie articles do come from Jodie. So it's someone who does know film, who worked at a cinema, and yet has never seen one of the major blockbusters of all time.
Yes.
A little bit weird. So
blows my mind.
To do this out of sync, I'm Marcus, do some of the wrestling and movie articles for Can't Pause This. Steve, who does a few articles and a lot of playthrough videos. If you've gone on YouTube, you've probably seen him on our channel. And as we mentioned, Jodie, who apparently has seen every other film other than Star Wars, so writes about those quite a lot. So, just to give, you probably know New Hope through just like sheer number of pop culture references.
Yes, and I think I might have seen a bit of it. I know Luke and Leia kiss each other before they know that they're related.
Can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
When we were talking about this, and I sort of said, it come up in conversation, you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
So, but then you dropped in like, oh, I have seen a bit of it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work because you've seen it and you kind of remember it or something. Then you sent me this message, and it kind of undid any good work.
Oh dear.
So your description of Star Wars was, I've seen the first one where Leia and Luke kiss because they don't realise they're brother and sister. The one when Jar Jar Binks and them are running through the woods, brackets, which is Sharon Osbourne's back garden, exclamation mark, close brackets.
It is.
The one with the big slug and Leia is in a metal bra, which can't be comfortable. And I remember a bit where Han Solo proper pies Leia off by saying, quote, I know, when she says she loves him.
Harsh, man.
So and there's some big pit with Meg in it.
So that's The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, part of Empire, and part of Return of the Jedi.
Is it? It's not just all the same one?
No, that's 4 different films.
Oh, okay.
That's episode 4, 5, 6 and 1. And I think we did...
Whoever plays Jar Jar Binks has to be in witness protection at this point.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah, he's very, very annoying.
But it's all supposed to be kids' films. It's not anymore.
They're really not.
No, that was whole George Lucas's big defence of anything that was ever wrong with Star Wars was it's kids' films, especially with the prequels.
It's really not kids' films.
No, I think we've put a bit past that now.
It's very serious.
It doesn't seem very kids. With like someone's arm gets cut off.
Without any blood.
Oh, that happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so I think best bet now, we go away, watch the film, we'll come back, see what Jodie thought of Star Wars. second for you was A New Hope for us. We're back, fresh off Star Wars. We're going to ask Jodie what she thought of it. But first, Steve, what did you think on your 250th viewing of Star Wars?
I love it as much as I ever did, even as a kid. I can never ever get bored of watching Star Wars, ever. It's brilliant. It's actually quite a long time since I've watched A New Hope, though. A few years, actually. And I love it as much as I always did. I love even the silly little quirky things like all the inconsistencies and the crap CGI and Jabba the Hutt under the Millennium Falcon just looking like completely out of place.
Yeah.
I like all of that. It doesn't bother me. I know it really bothers you. And it really bothers some people, but I think in a way actually I also enjoyed it more this time, having now seen Rogue One 3 times. And one of them I couldn't get a seat at the front, so I went and sat on the floor with my dad.
Sat on the back?
No, we sat on the steps on the floor just so that we could sit at the back. We were so desperate to see it that it was either sit on the floor or leave.
They actually let you do
We sat on the floor.
Fair enough.
Loved it, and seeing how the two now connect together, yeah, I think I actually prefer it now.
I don't think I've ever heard of a new prequel enhancing a 40-year-old film, but
It has,
Rogue One.
definitely, yeah.
Okay. Just to check though, was your favourite part of the 2 hours where that stormtrooper hits head?
Yes!
My God. You didn't seem to express that kind of joy to anything else that happened in the movie.
It's
you
definitely my favourite
so
bit.
you could see it again.
Yeah, I did. It's the stupid noise.
The noise is amazing.
Dong. And the way his head goes back, he's like...
Those
I
kind
love
of
that they left it in.
charms, those kind of charms are amazing.
Yeah.
The rehashed CGI does get to me quite badly.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it just because it looks weird. They've got like practical sets and props and everything else, and then you just get this kind of... It's not even brilliant CGI. Depends what version you watch. But like Jabba looked just weird next to the hand. The bit, I think it was like the land speeder was going into Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
And it just, after like an hour of practical stuff, you're then hit in the face with that. There's no even like nice transition. And then cuts back out again. It just bothers me. It takes me out of it.
I think I love Star Wars too much.
It doesn't ruin it.
I love the story and the lore and everything too much to care, really.
No, it doesn't. No, it's a gripe, but it doesn't ruin the film for me.
It's to a point where you love something so much that you can dislike parts about it.
Definitely.
There must be like what do you dislike?
What do I dislike about Star Wars?
Yeah, about New Hope specifically.
Oh, God. I love everything about it.
Do you want me to? I'll go, and then because I always dislike.
You look
something.
like your girlfriend's just asked you if she looks fat in those jeans. I don't know what to say.
Brilliant.
Doorbell? I gotta go. I do find the dialogues is clunky, but it works in their universe. So it's not that I dislike it about it, but I do see how it is kind of ridiculous, and I do kind of snigger a little bit sometimes when they say stuff.
Like what?
You know when they're doing the meeting, it's all like the British guys and Darth Vader.
Oh yeah.
And that like meeting about the Death Star.
Yeah.
Just I can't quote anything, but it's just the way they're kind of bouncing back and forth. It's not how people speak.
That's true.
It's just not. But then because they're all doing it all the time, you kind of get into that world and it's fine. So I get how it is a bit silly, but I can work with it. It's fine. It makes Star Wars Star Wars.
I thought of something I don't like about the New Hope.
Oh.
A New Hope.
Okay.
I don't like Luke Skywalker.
Girlfriend looks fat and then hit her in the head with a frying pan. Jesus, dude. Luke Skywalker, hero of the film, you don't like.
He is a bit annoying. I wish he'd been... I don't know, I just wish he would have sort of like grown up a bit quicker. He's a bit of a whingy, like, oh Ben, I wish he was here. Like, oh come on dude, you called him a weird old hermit like half an hour ago and you've never seen him in years, and he pops up, saves you in the desert, you spend half a day with him, and now you're all upset that he's died.
There is
Get over it.
Yeah, the characters are brilliant, but stuff like Leia not really batting an eyelid to her entire family and planet dying, and Luke kind of having the emotional stability of a... Well, I guess he is a kind of teenager, but being quite up and down does kind of hurt things a little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah, the characters are good enough. Like they are brilliant. All three, the major characters, Han, Luke, Leia.
Oh, amazing.
Are great, amazing characters.
Great casting as well. Jodie doesn't look impressed.
No, I liked Leia. I liked her a lot. A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can...
Good.
I really liked her. I can see how people do like her. She's
Can't speak ill of the dead.
She's kind of bad. That's true. She's she's a bit like, even though she's a princess, you'd imagine a princess to be like She's really kind of like, no, I'm going to take charge, I'm going to take this, I'm going to shoot people.
Well, when you think about it, she's actually had a really bad day.
It's true.
And she's handled it really, really well. She's been in the middle of a massive starship battle. She's been trusted with the plans for the Death Star solely. She's been chased across a star system by Darth Vader. She's been captured and interrogated and tortured by Darth Vader and the Empire. And she's been busted out of prison and shot at a shitload.
Mm.
And she's still like, come on, we've got to go.
Yeah,
she still takes charge.
I liked how when Luke went
She's
into her
badass.
cell, she was just like, you're kind of short for a stormtrooper, right? And she had no idea who he was. She was just like, hey, you suck. When they
Fire.
came in.
I think she should be like a shell of a human being by that point. She's just like, hey, it's Tuesday, bro, let's get out of here.
I liked her.
Yeah, she's a good character.
Okay, well, let's bring this back around. Jodie, what did you think of Star Wars?
I liked Han Solo as well. I really liked him. He was good. Even when I saw episode 7, spoiler alert, when he dies, I was sad without even knowing much about him or who he was, but I can definitely see why it would have hit people who did know who he was and had watched all the films, hit them quite hard. I can see that. He is a good character. I liked him a lot. Same as you, I didn't like the CGI. It did look really, really out of place. I was just sort of like, what's that? And I didn't... The big slug thing, what's his name? Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, he looked super, super weird. And when Han kind of stepped over him, he sort of like phased a little bit. Like that kind of threw me out for a second. And yeah, the writing didn't really flow very well, but I think that might be some kind of like nostalgia thing where if you have seen them all, you obviously know where the story goes. And when it first came out in the 70s, the graphics and everything would have been absolutely phenomenal.
When you say it doesn't flow, do you mean like visually or actually the story kind of?
Kind of visually. It seems to sort of jump around a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Like the CGI does admit it's not a lot in that one. I think it actually happens more in Jedi. But the first Star Wars is visually the most, and it doesn't help that some of its practical effects. But then they do space battles, so it is a bit jumpy. I can see that.
I did get where the story went. I didn't get lost at any point. I knew where they were going, what they were doing, and who was doing what, why they were doing it.
One thing I did realise, like watching it back again, once they like meet Han and Chewie, it gets like really metal. Like it's just straight away. It's like you get a lot of build up and a lot of talking. Meet Han and Chewie, and then straight away it's like escape, blah, 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 blah.
It kicks off.
Yeah, space battle, blah, Death Star, blah, and they're like they are stopping and talking and building the characters still. But they're always doing something. They're always like fighting. So it just goes and goes and goes. Right,
it's a sci-fi action film.
Yeah, but there's usually like set up, maybe an action scene, stops and talking, action scene, stop and talk, final action scene. Whereas it's long bit of setup, and then like as it goes through like battle after escape after battle.
Rogue One's like that.
Yeah, except they don't do anything to establish. It's just go, go.
Meandering, confusing first act, and then it just kicks off, and then it's just like action all the way to the end. So
there's probably as much action.
Maybe it's a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're that bothered about it in Rogue One because they don't seem to care about building characters. But
yeah,
they did do a bit as well of obviously knowing that there is a dark side to the Force from other stuff that I've heard and knowing a bit about Darth Vader, but there's not much explanation as to why they're bad, like what they want to do that's causing a rebellion to happen. It's pretty much just these guys are evil, look, he's got a black suit on and chokes a guy, evil because of that, and they don't really ever explain why they're rebelling against them.
It's that first one you kind of realise as you go on. That first one is very like good guys, bad guys, rescue the princess, up the base. Very like action serial basic, and you can kind of tell that because they're still figuring stuff out. It's like they kind of know what they want the Force to be, but in that one it's an ancient religion and you do find that aren't really read into New Hope too much because a lot of stuff will start to conflict.
I think it's just because I watched episode 7 when it came out, and it's the one that I can remember everything that happens in it because everything that I said before didn't happen in this one at all. And so with like Kylo Ren, you can see him struggle, you can see him consider what he's doing and thinking that maybe he's not doing the right thing and wanting to be the person that is evil and that does do that stuff, but having that conflict inside. And I think I maybe sort of thought, that's what happens when people go over to the dark side. Expected I might see that, but I didn't, which it makes sense if it is just a comic book style movie. Like, they'd never explain why the Joker is evil. He's just like batshit crazy. I know that he's Anakin, but I don't know how he goes from let's go pod racing to I'm gonna
That's literally what the prequels are all about. But it also includes a lot of lore about Darkseid and what kind of character traits lead to adopting that side of the Force.
Okay.
Not explained at all in A New Hope. I think A, because they were trying to work out exactly where they were going with it. And B, if you actually watch all of the films, realise there wasn't actually anywhere else along the storyline that they could have started, because it would just be way too confusing. Like you said, you start off A New Hope with good guys, bad guys, rescue princess, blow up spaceship, ride off for Tia medals.
I don't think
none of the other films are like that.
No.
Means anything to me.
Well, this brings me on to a question that I wanted to ask. Right, so you've seen one from start to finish.
Yes.
Aside from it being Star Wars and having all the pressures of people saying you must watch Star Wars, did you find the story compelling enough to want to go and watch the other films?
I don't think so. No.
Oh dear.
I know. Your face like fell.
Oh dear.
I can definitely see why people like it, especially if they watch it when they're younger. It's a big spectacle. It's a massive world that you
Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a world that you get drawn into, of something that can encapsulate you totally. But I didn't finish, and I was like, oh my god, I need to know what happens next. Like, I didn't get that feeling that you get when you have that.
That was the thing about the prequels. Like, do you feel that you need an explanation for Darth? Like, want an explanation for Darth Vader?
It was just,
or you can just watch them.
Steve will act out the prequels and interpret Darth for you. He knows them that well.
I suppose it would be interesting to know, but then leaving that movie, the main thing I wanted to know was, why is this guy evil? But then everyone says the prequels are awful, so...
It's kind of a question of, like... Because you do find out... You get more backstory in the original trilogy. But do you need... Like, this was always my question. Do you actually need to see how
If
Darth
I never
Vader
found
became?
out how he did, I think I would die perfectly happy.
Yeah. To do 3 films, like, average films, just to get to that point, it's... The question is, the more you find out, the more it kind of, I think, takes away from the moment. Having just seen A New Hope, he's just a big, badass, evil dude. Get a bit more that goes on. It doesn't go into it too much in the next 2 films.
He was in... I know what he looks like. He was in this one.
Yeah, you saw him
He used to, like, briefly walk away. I only know who he is because George, who writes some stuff for Can't Pause This as well, is obsessed with him.
Yeah, but then that's the thing, it's... In the original trilogy, silent killer, visually great looking dude. Prequels, you get everything, including him as a kid, but it's kind of takes away, and it's like...
Maybe I really am just like a weirdo here. I feel like knowing Darth Vader's origins, I find him infinitely more scary than before.
It's because you love it. Like, people can turn around and say to me, like, oh, this bit in Harry Potter was absolute garbage, and I'm like, no. Listen, let's sit down, have a cup of tea. I'll take 45 minutes to tell you why it was amazing.
I'll set up a podcast and we'll do this problem. That's how we deal with our issues.
Which is what you're like with Star Wars, which is... I feel like it is that you have room in your life for a certain amount of love for franchises, and mine's kind of just been taken already.
With Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
I think so, yeah.
If you had to give up one of those, which would you give up?
No.
It's okay, no one's actually going to take them from you.
No. What if you had to replace one with Star Wars? Okay, search your feelings.
But yeah, no. I thought it was okay, but I think I just don't understand the hype.
I think it comes with... I think Empire... If you just had New Hope, I don't think that's the thing that sets the entire franchise off. Because it's not... It sort of sets this world up, but it doesn't really give it the life that... Empire, I think, is the one that does that, because that's the one I generally consider the best film, but I think it just gives it... It expands the universe. I think it's a really good film. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't think but it is just a basic film, but I think when it came out... We said when the Star Destroyer went over... In 1977, my head would have exploded, probably.
Same, yeah.
I can definitely see why it would have been like a cinematic Marvel back then. But when, as they released, like this feeling that I have of, oh, it was okay, but then, because if it was a real timeline, because I'd watch the next Star Wars when it comes out purely because I know I'll probably end up liking it more than I do now. When they released, people were kind of in my boat, and then when they watched it,
horrible, terrifying transformation.
Brilliant.
I don't know.
I reckon people had their minds blown.
Yeah, in 1977, like if you watch that.
And my dad was there. My dad went and watched it like the week it came out, and he said that no one had seen anything like it before, and it blew. I couldn't wait for the next one to come out when it got announced.
It's like The Matrix in '99.
Yeah.
Like, and funny enough, that went up against Phantom Menace, but no one had seen anything like that film. Kind of in story, but just purely in special effects.
That was incredible.
Imagine, like, I remember how excited I was for Reloaded. It was just like, I think that was kind of the same effect. Seeing something that...
I think if they... I haven't seen Rogue One, but I have seen episode 7, and I liked episode 7 very much. So I don't know if maybe it's because I've become more accustomed to how movies are now, that maybe the nuances and little effects and things that were in A New Hope kind of just went over my head a little bit. Perhaps I don't know if that is why.
So lack of storytelling aside, will you go and watch them all now?
No. Maybe one day, but I'm not gonna rush home and...
That is upsetting.
See, I think if I were to ever watch the original 6, it would probably be because I do continue to watch the movies as Disney releases them and then want a backstory. I think that's why it's a good thing that they are releasing new Star Wars movies now, because of people like me who have never watched Star Wars, and now I like episode 7, and so I will watch episode 8, I will watch Rogue One, and I think that's good because it's then pulling more people into it. I think that's the only time I would ever watch the older ones, or a backstory for the ones that are coming out now, I think.
Backstory there.
Yeah, it's a lot there.
Well, because I watched
well.
I watched the entirety of episode 7, and I knew who everybody was, just with the limited knowledge that I have. I didn't need to know anymore to know who everybody was or what was going on. So if they end up making it that I do need to know more, then there's definitely generations of people where there's no.
Yeah.
I will probably end up being a Disney generation Star Wars.
Oh my god. We need to do something else, Marcus, to try and rectify this situation.
I don't know what we can do.
I believe you've got some quick fire questions for us.
Yes, just a few, but it's to kind of put us into 1977.
Okay.
A couple of questions, just what you think. I've got a couple of stats about the film. After seeing it, be interested to see what you think and what reality was.
Should we quickly go to a disco? Get in the zone.
Okay, maybe not that.
I'll put some disco music on.
So, when the film originally came out, how much do you think, well, first off, how much do you think it made in 1977?
Thanks, man.
A lot. I don't know.
If you think like a Marvel film and everything else does like $1 billion, a good one,
like
54 million.
Yeah.
You're like so far off.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, I'll give you a clue.
I guess people didn't have TVs.
When it got released, it ended up as the highest grossing film of all time.
Really?
Until E.T. came out in 82.
Oh my god. Okay. 500 million.
1.4 billion.
What, 1977?
Yes.
Okay. The film made in the US 461 million. Overseas 314.
Oh, 1.2 billion.
It's
is it?
not. No, I'm afraid. Totaled 770 in that year.
I was like just
massive.
off with my first guess.
If you adjust it for inflation, I think it's coming in at the third highest of all time.
That's crazy.
No, sorry, second in North America and third in the world.
Flippin' heck.
Critically though, what do you think the budget was for it? It wasn't 775 million.
No.
I'll tell you that.
It wasn't. I'm going to say 10 million.
14? 14 to
you're
16?
Both quite close. 11 million.
Oh!
So
Damn.
yeah.
That made a lot.
Made a lot.
What's that when adjusting?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But
it's more.
yeah, so not only did it make all that at the box office, which Fox get to keep, it was infamous merchandising, which made him all the money.
Right.
And it was like the first movie to really exploit toys.
That money, he still couldn't afford decent CGI artists for the prequel trilogy.
And I'll make this last one. It received 10 Oscar
I'm
nominations.
going to say none.
Maybe for like sound, visual effects.
Yeah, sound, you're probably right.
Sound, visual effects, directing? For like best supporting actress.
Well, it
Bold.
won 7.
Did it?
Oh.
It did. So
Bloody hell.
pretty damn well in the Oscar stakes. Got Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects.
Oh, I got 2.
Fair enough.
And it was a special achievement for sound effects. I didn't think they'd get any for like, not that they were bad, like the acting was bad, but I didn't really see getting an Oscar for that. I'm just reading here, only one actor from Star Wars got a nomination. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh wow.
Best actor in a supporting role.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that good.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
I think I might be a bit biased because I love Harrison Ford. He's a baby.
Babe, is
He
he?
is. I love him.
Give him all the Oscars.
Take them all.
Give him the special Babe Achievement Oscar. Cool. Okay, so that kind of shows that it wasn't a slow burn in 1977. People did really, really like that film.
They were right.
It's one of the only films that my mum has seen in the cinema.
Oh, okay. So, I think we've established here that, well, at least Jodie's now seen Star Wars, but maybe that wasn't the best thing, judging by the expression on Steve's face.
Yeah, I just... Look, I just don't understand how you can't completely love Star Wars. Anybody, it's just, I don't know. I just love it, everything about it. I mean, I could watch it every day and not get bored with it. But then you're the same with Harry Potter, right?
Yes.
So
takes all the colours to make up paintings.
I do need to show you though that amazing lightsaber battle in The Phantom Menace, because only having really seen the lightsaber fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope is just embarrassing. It's really crap.
I don't think it's crap. It's just
it is crap.
It means something different in that film.
It's a bit. Nearly. Oh God. Block.
No.
Yeah.
I'll play it to you in a minute. There's a video on YouTube where someone's cut out all the bits in between. It's just the fight.
Okay, so we may be back for Empire, maybe not. Depends if we can get Jodie to actually sit down and watch it. But I think it was well worth doing, because at least now you can say you've seen Star Wars.
It was a good experience. I'm glad.
Excellent. That's all we.
I'm glad
That's all we
that
can
I
ask
watched
for.
it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for episode 2. Can't Pause This podcast. Our current schedule will be back in about 2 years with episode 3. With a complete different set of people again. If you can have a look at Super Loot Crate, link in the description. Go on there, sign up for like 5 of them, because it helps us out, keeps this stuff free, keeps us doing this stuff. It's really helpful, and you get loads of cool stuff out of the crates. Please have a look at can'tpausethis.com. Everyone sat in this room is putting up written articles, so if you like anything we've said here, you can get way more of that, but in written form, so you can read it on the toilet. There's a YouTube channel where you'll see Steve doing playthroughs. There'll be other stuff on there by then, including should be this podcast.
Yes, yeah, that'll be up in the next day or 2.
Steve's also on Twitch, so if you are a gamer, go join him on there, have a look at what he's doing, and always be free to send us comments, feedback. Until next time, thank you for listening. We're out.
May the force be with you all.